Welcome to the Post-Human Podcast.
Today's guest, host of Beyond the Veil podcast and spirit medium, and I'm very excited about this one, folks, Daniel Jackson.
How are you, Tim?
I'm very good. I'm glad that we had that little pre-show talk. For those out there that don't, it was a pre-show bonus. For those who aren't going to hear it, they will at some point. So let's kick on with the show. Now, I'm very excited about this one because I'm a huge fan of pretty much everything that you do. I've had nobody on the show so far that I've had a hypnotist on, but I've never had. They're very fun people.
Yeah.
But I've never had a spirit medium on, and it's something that fascinates me. So let's really get into that. When did you first realize your gift? Because some people will be skeptical, some listeners out there, but I'm 100% chips all in. So when did you first believe? Not believe, but when did you first
find out?
When did, yeah.
I've always seen spirit my entire life. Ever since I was a kid, my whole family saw them. We lived in a house in the United States, in the state called New Jersey, and in that town, there was a battlefield right in the town where the Hessians fought. And so everyone in that area had spirit in their home. And I saw them all the way up until I was 17. And then my parents and I moved down to another state called Delaware, a couple states away. And we got down here and they weren't seeing anything else, but I was. I continued to see things like one time I was late. I used to play drums in a rock band, and I came home from a gig and I laid down in bed. And when I did, something laid down next to me. I felt the pillow depress, and this happened like 3 or 4 times. And then I finally looked up to see what was going on. And when I did, whatever was there with me took the blanket and brought it up to the ceiling and shook it above me, and then it dropped it on top of me. There was another instance where I was with a girlfriend. We were watching TV, and she was at the foot of the bed. I was at the other bed end, and this big thing, like maybe 3 feet thick and 4 feet long, snaked its way out of the closet across the room, and then all of a sudden it just disappeared. It was white. It was real thick, real cloudy, milky looking. And she looked at me and she was like, "Did you just see that?" I said, "Yeah, I saw that." And then I said, "Let's get the heck out of here." But I've seen things like that my entire life. I would be driving down the street and get chills up my spine, and all I have to do is look around, and boom, there it is. I'm driving past the graveyard. So I picked up on it all the time, but I just never put 2 and 2 together. All the way up until I was 50 years old. I'm getting ready to turn 55. So right before I was 50, my wife went away on a vacation for 2 weeks. And when she did, I saw everything in this house, this one I'm in here, for 2 weeks, everything you can imagine that was scary. Like green and red mist was floating and pouring out of the walls onto the floor. I saw skulls rolling out of the walls, and they had red eyes and fangs, 7-foot skeletons walking around the house. I saw a cloud form above the bed in the bedroom, and a black window opened up, and I saw these 2 skeleton arms come out, but the skeleton arms didn't have any hands, which was kind of weird. And then it just pulled the body out, and it was looking around at me, and I saw this cloud that would come out of the corner of the room. It was red, or it was gray, green, blue, yellow, orange, and then it would come out red with black stripes, blue with black stripes, gray with black stripes, all these different crazy colors. And when she got back from her vacation, she told me about her adventures. And when she got done, I told her about my adventures. I even had one time, there was I came down here where I'm at now in this basement, and I came to get my cat. And when I did, he was on the couch, and I said, "Come on, buddy, it's time to come upstairs." And he looked at me. He looked to his right-hand side, And when I looked, I was looking to my left. I saw this wall of blackness appear in the middle of the floor. I saw a man walk out of the wall of blackness. He had this big wide black hat on and a long black coat. I couldn't see his face, but I could see his facial features. But what I did notice is when he walked across the room, he didn't have any feet, which was kind of odd. And he walked across the room and then he just disappeared. So I saw everything crazy you could imagine.
What makes you think that? I mean, skeletons is a strange one because I've seen most of what I've seen is it's been a lot of shadow kind of stuff.
Sure. I was seeing all that too.
I've never. I mean, I've had moments where shit has happened, but I've never. I mean, and again, most of the times when it's happened to me was during weird moments of sleep deprivation.
Sure.
You know, I used to do a hell of a lot of drugs, and I don't know if any of it was coincidental or not, but there was also moments where I would see a lot of shadow type characters. But it was so strange that the skeleton and that he had no hands. That's bizarre that he had no hands. I don't know why he had. What would be your thought to the no hands, or was it?
They were showing me everything imaginable that they could throw at me. Spirit was doing this on purpose. My spirit guides were doing it on purpose. They were doing it to see what I would do next. Would I move? Yeah, testing me. Would I move forward with this and accept it, or would I say no? It was like it's called. You're having an awakening moment. They're waking you up to see if you're going to move forward with it. And they were just doing it right before I turned 50. So yeah,
I've had the same kind of almost experience, but again, it's been under the influence of drugs where I've had
has nothing to do with the
drugs. Excuse me. No, I know certain people could. I believe that certain people can tap into frequencies naturally.
Yes.
Not everybody, but then I also think that if you can take X amount of different concoctions, you can also replicate that experience. And sort of get on the same. Not to a necessary level. Some people, it's just psychosis.
Yeah. You were when you have this, what I call it. The people call it a gift, but I don't. I call it an ability. When you have this ability, it comes through with your soul. So you just get woken up at different periods. Different periods in their lives and stuff like that. But yeah, you either have it or you don't. Everyone comes into this world with it, but because we get taught the ways of the world, by the time you're 8 or 9, then it goes away. It gets suppressed because before that you're pure of heart, and because when you're just new into the world, because you're coming into this new body, you are completely clean of all the garbage that we teach everybody. Yeah. And then when we teach it to them, it kind of goes away. But there are some people out there like myself that just stays with them.
Well, I'm not saying that everyone on drugs can do that. You know, it might just be the case that, you know, certain people have that, you know, and aren't completely awakened yet, and that maybe one day there will be, but in that meantime, you know, there could be just. Well,
in order for you to have it and to move forward with it, Spirit asks me not to drink anything, not to do drugs. I can't. They don't even want me to have tattoos because they want me to be a clear body and mind and soul. Yeah.
I mean, I know that you get a lot of entities as well, and different spirits. Good and bad.
Yes, there are good and bad.
Know that bad entities are the ones that are more consistently trying to make shit go down. And
well, your positive energies are with you as well all the time. We all have what's called they are called spirit guides, and they actually help you make. So when you wake up in the morning and say, "Hey, I'm going to go to the store today," that's only half of you that's actually making that decision. It's your spirit guides are helping you to do the other part because they want you to go places, they want you to have experiences and see people that you're supposed to. But what's happening there is you're making the positive decision to say yes to that. Yeah. Well, same thing with negative energies. They can come in and do the same thing. But you have to use your thinking mind to decide if you're going to follow through with that or not. Just like when you're getting a positive message, not a lot of people follow through with those messages either. They talk themselves out of it because of self-doubt, or they just feel like, I want to do whatever I want to do and I don't care about no one else.
That's probably
Yeah.
only problem as well is not many people take any singular positive on board, but that's where I say more negative sort of entities can come
Yeah.
into play, because as a society we're pretty negative, and
Yes.
people, it's sort of when you look at like the seven sins, you know, they're
7 deadly sins.
yeah, they're all real. They're all,
Yeah.
you know, it's almost like
But what they are is their
they're the
choices.
entities. Oh, absolutely, of
Yeah.
course they are.
Yeah. So
It's
you
like
can choose to
sloth.
do them or not.
Yeah, it's like sloth. You can choose to be lazy, or you can choose to
Yeah.
get up and go for a bike ride or a run or whatever suits your fancy. You know,
Sure.
it's just, I mean, excuse me, dust went in my nose from the ceiling. I don't know what that was. That's crazy. It's some weird spider. Yeah, it's I mean, negative entities has been I mean, whenever I've had any sort of moments myself, it's always been negative. And maybe that's just because of my lifestyle. Again, your spirit guides, give you a positive influx. They
Right.
tell you not to drink or smoke, and
Right.
even as tattoos is, it's that's completely, very solid figure in terms of being completely pure.
Yeah.
Um,
I don't have any.
maybe that's why that you're having all these crazy skeletons and things test you, because you've got, and so you're trying to solidify this pure, positive base. And
Oh no, I can
maybe
tell you why it's going on for me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So my main gift they've given me is I cross spirit over into the light every day. Now sometimes I have to do it physically, but sometimes they just cross over.
What do you mean by that?
So what I mean by that is the light that shines that shows spirit how to cross over into heaven has to be in a physical body for 2 reasons. One, because that body is alive, containing this energy enough, so it's a vessel to hold this energy, so it can shine all the time. And 2, because that body then has to sometimes cross them physically, talk to them, tell them where to go, what to do. So my spirit guides that I have with me, I don't have just regular ones. Most people just have people who have crossed over, who have fulfilled their purpose, and they come back to help and they become spirit guides for you. But I have what we refer to them as archangels, and I have them because they protect me from negative energies. So like I'm protected from all negative energies. I don't have to ever worry about them. Nothing. They can't come close to me. They try to come close to me all the time. I see them, but they can't come close to me, because my angels, they protect me from them so that I can, in a clear and positive way, talk to these other spirit who want to cross over. Because a lot of them who want to cross over at that point didn't cross over the first time when they passed away. And they see the light and they come to me, and then I cross them over, because a lot of times they don't cross over for many different reasons. They were scared, or someone said they were going to hell, they're going to be judged, or something like some kind of bullshit like that isn't real. But
who'd tell them that they'd be going to hell? I mean, there'd be that
people.
Is that weird? What kind of people?
People, yeah, because people around the world, they always tell you, "Oh, if you're a horrible person."
Oh, in modern day life. Oh, okay.
Yeah, modern day life.
Sorry,
they tell
I
them,
thought
and
you
then
meant during that crossover period.
Oh well, still at that point as well, because when you step up out of your body, you are in the in between stage. You're in between either going into that light or remaining here as an earthbound spirit. And a lot of these earthbound spirits are around as well, and they can say, "Hey, don't go in there. Don't go in there. You don't want to go in there." But it's still, when you see that light, it's up to you. It's your choice. And when you do pass away, everyone gets a personal light. So, but what happens if you don't go into that light? If you take a second guess, that light turns off. Then you have to find that other light that's shining. There's only one, and it's been here since the beginning, and it happens to be inside of me.
I mean, that's
so everyone comes back over and over and over again because you don't fulfill your purpose. Like I was talking to a guy today. or a girl today. She had been here 27 times. She's on number 27, but my soul actually keeps coming back over and over and over and over and over again, and it's been here over 23,000 times. It was actually in my grandfather before it was in me. He wanted to know when I was going to be born. He was bugging my mom and dad. Why? Because he knew, because he had the gift as well. He was doing this as well. And so he was bugging my mom and dad to find out when I was going to be born. I had two other brothers and a sister. He didn't give a shit about when they were born, but me, he wanted to know because he knew when it was going to come in. And when I was about to be born, my dad called him up and said, "Hey, you need to come to the hospital. He's being born." And he got ready to come to the hospital. He had a heart attack and died. And when he did, his soul left, came into me. Boom, I'm born.
That's crazy, man.
Yeah,
I mean,
right?
Reincarnation, and I'm a huge everything like that. You know, some of the stuff that even I believe in is some of the stuff I put on the fence as a joke, but that kind of stuff is just pure, mostly myth.
Right.
I like to fuck around with myths a lot. But in
Well,
terms
you've been
of,
here. You're on number 28.
what do you mean?
I mean, you have reincarnated back. You're back again. You're on number 28. So you've had 27 other lifetimes you've been here.
How would you know 28?
Because I asked them. They just told me.
Do you know what's funny? Is no.
That's how.
This is a real question.
Yeah.
I spoke about this on a previous show.
Sure.
And it was there's a small minor story to it. In which basically I mentioned a film that I had a memory of. No one could name that film, and then some guy on the show had listened to it, hit me up and told me that name. And many people told me it was a false memory.
No.
Now I also have one of these other strange memories, and I spoke about it. Excuse me, on that show briefly. And basically, it's very strange because it almost felt like a coma, like a weird coma, hazy dream moment. But I remember having this memory when I was young, maybe about 7, 6 ish. But I remember I was in this weird sort of playing park in what would be like, it was like a circle, and there was some shops around the edge, like
Sure.
going all the way around, and a couple of roads. And we was playing in this park, and then there was some weird accident, and then I remember being in a hospital, and then that was that. But then I don't remember. It was like a weird dream, but it was all crazy. And I can't remember, like, the era almost seemed like it must have been maybe 10-ish years prior, because it kind of seemed a bit like the 80s. I'm not going to, maybe the 70s, the 80s-ish, you know, just based upon my dream and the way that shops and streets looked, and, you know, there was like weird sort of laundrettes and stuff that wouldn't be around to modern day. And it's hard to say that it was a dream, but now that you say that,
How old are you now?
I am 30.
Let me ask him why. Oh, okay. It was not a dream.
Well, I'd probably imagine it wasn't, because I'm pretty certain
Right.
it was another past life, and I'm
Right. Yeah. The
definitely
past
certain of
life
that.
being what had happened as the way that it happens. When you die, if you die over the age of 30 years old, you come back 80 years later. If you die below the age of 30 years old, you come back 8 years later. Being these cycles are because at that point, no one's going to recognize you. So what had happened is you were under the age of 30 years old, and you did die, and then you just came back.
Well, I must have probably been, if I was to put an age as to how old I might have been in the dream, even then I was probably under the age of like 12. You
Yeah.
know, I probably was, I don't know.
Yep, you died and then came back, and you came back roughly around 8, maybe a few more years after that. But yeah,
But I mean, I have like weird, sort of strange sort of dreams all the time, and I've spoke about this before as well, where I've had a dream and it's happened, but many years in advance.
Sure.
Have you got any sort of is that kind of sort of stuff come across with you?
Yeah, that's
Like
that's like
not like
a
foresight, but you know what I mean.
clairvoyancy.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely. I'm also clairvoyant. They show me things all the time, but they're mainly things that have something to do with me. Uh, but yeah, sometimes what happens is we are running around with our minds that are always constantly racing, and we're so used to everything else going on in the world
Yeah.
that our minds don't clear up enough for them to give us a message. So sometimes they will bring these messages in when they're dreams, because their dreams were in a very lucid state, very settled state at that point, and then they can bring a message in. And sometimes, yeah, but because their time and our time are two different things, because where they are, there is no space and time. Where they are,
Makes
they
sense.
just are there. That's it. They don't sleep, eat, breathe, none of that stuff. They're just going. That's all. So when they bring this to you, like when if you were to cross over and go into heaven, and then you see you have a kid or your girlfriend or your wife, whatever, and in heaven they're going to be showing up through that door in about 2 or 3 days. But 2 or 3 days to us is like 20 or 30 years. So, but to them it's only like 2 or 3 days. So when they bring you a message, yeah, it may it's probably going to happen. But what happens is it just takes a long time, because our timeline is different from theirs. They don't actually have a timeline where, so it's just a little bit different. But yeah, it happens all the time. I see these things all the time, but I just, that's not my role here to like prevent something from happening. They actually want me to just let it happen. But yeah, I mean, when you find these things out, sure, definitely. If you feel as though it's going to help someone, then go ahead and help them. That's perfectly fine to do, because they're bringing you that message for a reason, not
Well,
just because they want to show you something.
my moment was only mild. You know, I dreamt I was on this little boat, and I was going from like a port to port, and then years later it was when I looked across the water, I was like, wow, this is
You were
super.
like, holy shit.
Yeah, it was super familiar. Like,
Yeah.
it weren't no bullshit moment. It was like, whoa. It was a little bit scary as well, because even
Sure.
all the emotional side went with it. I,
Yes. Yes.
but when I went to try and remember the dream, I couldn't remember anything else alongside it, which sucked.
Yeah.
It was just that one specific moment, and I'd like to have remembered the full part of it, because I'm sure it wasn't what happened.
Right.
But that specific boat ride, that was real, like completely 100%. But I don't think anything that I dreamt. I don't know. Maybe it could have. I don't know. That's the problem sometimes with dreams, is you just forget so much stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
It's hard to remember all of the parts. Although I have, like my wife, she has very vivid dreams all the time. She'll come out
Mine,
of the dream almost
crazy.
like it's a whole nother life that she just lived, and she tells me the whole story and lasts for 20 minutes, you know?
Well, I had I mean, I put a tweet up about it, but this was a crazy dream, and I wished I didn't wake up from it. I can half plug back into dreams. So if I
Sure.
wake up, I can almost nine
Go right
times out
back
of
into it.
10 get
Yeah.
straight back in. This night, I think it was about 2 nights ago, something like that. And basically, I had this dream where I was going through. I always have a dream where occasionally where I'm going through this building, and it's like an abandoned building, and it looks like an old hospital. For some reason, there's many floors, and it's kind of weird, because sometimes it turns into like a weird sort of hotel-esque place as well.
I have
It
that
almost
same dream.
it almost combines and switches to the
I
point
had
where
that.
I can go up elevators, and then the next thing there's people
Yeah.
on floors, but it's like
I had that same dream.
a different level. And I've had this dream for many years, but several nights ago, I think it was 2 nights, 3 nights, I'd fucked around. I've been fucking around in this place in my mind for ages. And I don't know why I keep dreaming about it. But then the other night I was dreaming about it, and I'd gone down a stairwell, and then for some reason, in my head, it just kept telling me to just keep going down. Now, normally when I'm in this sort of building, I'm always going upwards to the top for some peculiar reason, and occasionally there's always people after me as well, which is always kind of wild. There's always some sort of scary element to it. I've got to get away from things, and then I'm going here, and then, you know, it's kind of so fucking all over the place. But I only remember this time so vivid because I was going downwards this time, and I was like, where the fuck are we going? And I remember waking up, and I remember waking up thinking there was multiple levels, about 8 levels to this place downwards. I'd never really thought about it at any given moment, like how many floors there were to this place. But when I woke up in the middle of the night, I was like, there's like multiple levels downwards. So I got up and I went and got a drink, and then when I lay back down, I was still thinking about it. And then I went and plugged straight back in the dream like it was the Matrix. And then there was these weird labs, like it was so strange. I'd gone down these stairs, and then I was in some weird sort of laboratory-esque, like government fucking facility place, and it was wild. But it was abandoned. There was nobody there at all, and it was so crazy. And I was like, kind of working out, and it didn't really branch on much from after that, because I woke up again, and I just, like, looked around, and it was just like, you know, metal tables and shit like that, and, you know, so then I woke up again, and then I was like, man, I want to know what's fucking going on here. This is getting kind of crazy. I'm like, this is one of the wildest dreams I've ever had. Normally they're pretty, you know, it's normally, you know, like I say, normally it's people are fucking coming after me and bullshit, rambling crap. But this was one of them moments where it was like, this is all cool, and I want to know where this is going.
Yeah.
So I continued to look around, and then I knew there was more floors. I'd woke up and knew that, and then I went straight back in, and then there was a stairwell, and it was all flooded, and I couldn't really get down there. And then somehow my brain had conjured up this weird, like, dinghy. And it was strange because there was a couple of people. It wasn't just me then at this point. There was about 3 people, which was odd as fuck. It was just me up until this one moment where I was going to get this dinghy, and it was sort of semi-flooded. So I was going to lie in this dinghy and, like, paddle my way along the roof.
Sure.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
And that, because I knew where it was going to potentially go, was probably to somewhere else. And then there was other people were then with me, and it was overweighting this dinghy. And then that was it. I woke up then, and I was like, what the fuck? It was so fucked up, because the whole time I was on my own, and then the minute I was getting ready to go down into this next level to see what was going on, there was a bunch of people in this fucking...
Yeah, you took on a bunch of people.
Yeah, for no particular reason. You got any thoughts to that? Because that's kind of a weird, strange dream. I'm going to ask psychologists about that.
I've had similar dreams where I was in what I thought was a hospital, but then it also turned into being a hotel at the same time, and I thought it was kind of strange. But what I've been told when I asked about that dream is and also the same part where someone was chasing me as well. But what I was told about that is that's what's as you know, I mean, as you look around the world, things are not going very well at this moment, especially with the whole COVID mess and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And my wife and I also channel also as well. And I was able to channel a message like 2.5 years prior to COVID coming. They told me COVID was coming. They told me a virus and the first stock market crash was going to come. So we were telling people this during readings and stuff like that. During these festivals I was doing was readings. But they also told us this was going to last for 7 years. COVID's not going away anytime soon. Well, eventually what's going to happen is there's going to be two roads to go. One road is the alternative road where the government just takes over everything and we have no more rights anymore, or the other road, which is hopefully, which is we're going to stand up and take our rights back from the government, stand up against the government, say screw you and all that stuff. And that's part of it. So that that particular dream has to do with that, where you're going to be running and hiding. You think you're going into a hotel, but in that hotel, there are people who have been injured, and they're taking them to the hotel because the hospital has been destroyed, and they're trying to take care of them in there as well. And then while you're going in the hotel and you think you're going to stay there, you're also going to be hunted down by these other people who are trying to just come and get you. So, and that's what they told me that was for, and it's going to happen in part of what is going to be the future within the next 5 years now. So,
well, I also believe in cycles.
You're getting a warning, is what you're getting.
You know, I think there's a lot of cycles to things, and when you said your 7 years, I think there's a lot to that because
Mm-hmm.
I watched a documentary about a guy called oh shit, Martin something. The documentary was called The Forecaster, and basically it was about a guy. He got done for a Ponzi scheme, almost set up for it because he created a model that would essentially predict things.
Sure.
He collected coins dating back to Roman times and essentially worked out like how much they weighed, and he'd done all this technical stuff and then inputted it all, and then essentially worked out this sort of model where things would rise and fall every 8 years.
Sure.
But it went, I mean, it all worked as well to the sum of pi, which was kind of even more crazier because, you know, you can't really go against that, you know, and obviously the FBI eventually sort of fucked him over and put him in prison and wanted this model, and he never gave it up. I think the dude's in hiding now.
Yeah, that's what they do to these people. Like I get messages, like I said, I do readings and stuff like that, but I get all kinds of other stuff as well. But I don't ever talk about that stuff to anyone because for one reason, it's not time for me to do that. But when it is, I will. But when I talk about it now, no, because the reason being is they may come and get me, stick me in a straitjacket, stick me in a room, and then you'll never hear from me ever again, just like they did to that guy. Because they know it's the truth, but they don't want the truth out there.
Well, that's why most of my stuff. I mean, I believe it. I'm a semi-conspiracy theorist, but I also like to have a bit of fun with it. But
Sure.
when I do have fun, it's got a little bit of, like I say, I like to put some myth into stuff, and I'm a huge fan of myths and legends. And I think a lot of it's all true. I think that there was a moment where we was probably battling fucking pterodactyls that were like dragons, you know?
More or less.
Probably a moment where, you know, we was fucking around and we had to go in caves because of a big cataclysm, and,
yeah,
you know, so did everything else, birds included, which survived, and maybe there was a big ass pterodactyl that was terrorizing, you know, all these people, and then one guy stepped up, slayed it, and then, you know, we got King Arthur, whatever.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, absolutely. You're correct on that because everybody's perception, everybody's idea of it. One guy may see it, and then the next thing, and then they tell the story five times. And then next thing you know, it's breathing fire out of his mouth. So.
Yeah, well, that's the other thing as well. Is it's like I've got a lot of thoughts behind that. Is that, you know, there was barely any. Everything back then was told through tales and songs and
poems. Or they did plays and stuff like that. Sure, and they made it very theatrical.
Yeah, they had to add.
Yeah, absolutely.
They have to add a spin to it. I did it on my. I spoke about it on my. My last show as well, like Medusa, you know, she was probably a real person, but she probably didn't turn people to stone.
Right.
You know? There was probably my thoughts behind that is I like to think that maybe that aliens fucked about with us as a conspiracy, and that
they may have,
and that during that time they probably fucked around with animals. So we got centaurs and, you know, all the other mythological things, and like I said, there probably was like a Medusa, but then she was a weird snake woman, but turning people to stone is a bit beyond the limit.
Right. Right. There's just a little bit added to it, but
Yeah.
yeah. Well, I mean, aliens. That's how we got here. We were not born of Adam and Eve or Adam and Steve, whichever you prefer, but we were born from them. We came from another world. We destroyed that one. They brought us here to start over again, and as you can see, we're destroying this one as well.
Well, I mean, I think that even the Garden of Eden was probably a real place, and the story of the first man and woman was probably a real thing. But I just think that yet again, maybe it was
No. Yeah, no, absolutely not. I've asked about that as well, and it didn't take place.
Not in probably the way that it was. But
Oh,
maybe
no,
it was
not
just,
even close. Not even close. The whole Bible thing, Jesus, yes. God, yes. Bible, absolutely not. Everything in there is all about power and control, telling you how to live your life the way they want you to live it, and give them 10%. That's all.
Oh yeah, I
They
mean,
don't
I'm
want
not.
to get a real job. Yeah.
Oh yeah, and I'm not saying. I mean, even then, I think that Jesus was a real person.
Oh, he was. He was a real person. The reason he was able to do the things that he was able to do is because his soul had only been here one time, and he was that in touch with it. And he was trying to let us all know that we could all do these things if we practiced and got back to it at that time. But we just, the people who were in control of everything saw him doing this and talking to people, and they said, we can't have this Jesus guy out on the streets doing these things. He's taking our money away from us. He's taking our control and power away by leading these people away from us. So they scooped him up. They put him on that cross. He wasn't the first one to be on it. Wasn't the last one. They tortured the shit out of him. They murdered him in front of everybody to let them know, if you follow him and if you do what he's doing, we're going to do this to you too. Absolutely.
Well, that's what it is. I mean, it was persecution.
Yeah, and the people who did that to him was religion.
Yeah. That's a
they don't tell you that.
Yeah. Well, it's a straight fact as well. Even though they portray him in the Bible, they just blame other things.
Right. They portray him, and they use him and God's name to spread fear among people. But you don't have to fear God.
No, I mean, it's even then. It's like 2,000 years. So there's a lot of history there. And even over that time, it was always written by the conquerors.
Yeah, absolutely. By the kings and queens, everybody who was in power and control.
We won,
yes.
We're taking everything. We're fucking wiping out whatever information you have. Maybe season some of it, which we could use, might be potentially great,
Right.
Maybe we'll use it against you if there's ever
absolutely
a moment. But I think that Jesus was it was one of those people that I've not quite read the Bible yet. I'm slowly working my way through. I've mentioned this several times over the course of the last month, to the point I have started that, and
I've never read it.
I
know a lot of stuff about it, but that's because my God, they tell it to me, and I wake up in the morning.
I only wanted to read it just to compare to, because again, I was like raised in sort of Christian schools, and
sure.
I was like, well, I've never read the Bible. You never even taught it to me in RE. RE wasn't even about it.
One big misconception. Yeah, one big misconception in the Bible. So, and I talked to as many religious people about this as I can, but they can never answer me. So I think it's on page 6 or number 7, something like that, where they tell you not to speak to mediums, okay, like me, because mediums, they speak to spirit, and since we are speaking to spirit, that means we are talking to demons and devils. We are what they call necromancers. We are thieves, all that stuff. Now, here's the issue I have. Father, Son, Holy Spirit, okay? Father and Son, yes. Holy Spirit, okay? Holy Spirit, no. And the reason being is because if I'm not allowed to talk to spirit, and no one's allowed to talk to spirit, that would make you a medium. So if you're talking to spirit, makes you a medium, and you're not allowed to talk to spirit, who is talking to the Holy Spirit? And who's the luckiest person in religion that's allowed to do it? Because as far as I know, it says right in the Bible, no one's allowed to talk to spirit. But someone obviously is. So who is it? And when I ask that question, they have no answer. Because they know they're not allowed to answer it because they know if they say, well,
Contradicts.
this person's talking, I said, well, that person's a medium then, correct? And they go, but no. And I said, no, yes, it is. Because if they are talking to spirit, the Holy Ghost, that makes them a medium. And the Bible says no mediums. So you're breaking your own fucking rules, correct?
It's
And
like-
then they have no answer, and they just go and they want to dispute. You know, they want to tell you everything, but they don't want to dispute none of it. So
It's
yeah,
also like
no.
the persecution for witchcraft and stuff like that. You know,
yes,
everything all
Same
come out
thing.
of the same place.
well, witches
realistically.
were the same thing. Witches were mediums. They were able to speak to spirit, but what they would do is use like little potions and herbs and stuff. They were basically the unconfirmed doctor in the area.
Yeah.
But when people came in with the Bible, they said, "Oh, they talk to spirits," and then they started calling them witches and they're evil. And then they said, "Let's kill them all." And then
Well, a lot of them were midwives.
yes,
Crazily,
absolutely,
A lot of them were just mostly, and it's so fucked up that no one really mentions that. And it
Right.
literally, it just dawned on me then. Most of them essentially were just midwives, and that they were just out delivering babies and
yeah. But
essentially
delivering
the
babies, and
doctors
then
of
when
the
they went out and
generation.
killed them all, and then there was nobody there to deliver babies. So then they just, they shot themselves in the foot on that one.
I mean, I'm not a huge fan of the Vatican. I'm not going to say, I'm not going to slander them, but my only
I will.
reason, my only reason is just because of how much information they have that you just can't see.
They
You know,
are.
like,
They're
what have
voted
you got
in.
in there? You know,
They're people who are voted in. That's all they are. They are not these magicians. They are not better than anyone else just because they voted. They devoted their lives to something that is actually a complete total bullshit lie. So, and they lie about that so they can have control and power over everybody. But yeah, it's their lie. No one actually sins, okay? Because you were created from God, just like I was, from a part of Him, which makes your soul a divine soul. Jesus Christ was not the only one who was divine. We are all divine, but they don't tell you that because they want to tell you how to live your life the way they want you to live it and give them 10%, like I said. But they want you to think they are in control of you. And we have, at this point in our lives, have relinquished all of the power to taking care of ourselves over to the rest of the world, the people who are in control. And that's why everything is fucked up, because they make the rules, they make the laws, and we don't. We have to walk around and work all day long, and so we get paid crumbs so they can make billions of dollars. So no,
It's
no,
like
fuck them.
it's like
Yeah.
collection plates as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just to fund. But do you know what's a really fucking strange one? Why do they always portray him in the media as this big, tall dude who you can never see his face, and he's just got long grey hair and maybe a beard, and he's in a robe? What the fuck is that about? Like,
Yeah, like they're trying
why?
to make him look like a wizard, you know.
I mean, it's always the same. He's got
Well, it's
sandals
the
on.
same because
What's
because he's
going
pulling a
on?
magic trick on your ass and you're giving him money
Yeah.
for it.
I mean, it's such a crappy outfit, though. Really,
Yeah.
If you was gonna be God, and you wouldn't, I don't even think you'd wear an outfit. I think you'd just behave like Doctor Manhattan from the Watchmen. You ever
Yeah,
seen
he
that?
God doesn't have
Yeah,
where
it'll be-
spirit is. There is no money, so they
Yeah.
don't need money. Only people need money.
Well, I mean, it's greed as well. Is the other
Yes, it's
thing
power,
behind
greed,
money.
control, all of that. The big three.
But that's where us goes back full circle earlier on, talking about those 7 deadly sins.
Oh
You
yeah.
know, greed's right up there.
Oh, absolutely.
You know,
Absolutely,
it's
'cause-
one of the
'cause-
biggest.
They want their piece of sand, and the other guy wants their piece of sand because sand is worth something, I guess.
Well, depends. Well, might be one day.
Yeah, maybe they're going to change over from gold to sand. I don't.
Well,
I don't know,
gold-
man.
Even gold is strange. It's so strange how that was just. I mean, I get it, that it's shiny and it looks
Right.
great.
It's shiny and it's pretty and all that stuff, and they placed a value on it. We've lost the true value in this world, which is us. We put it on things now like cars and motorcycles and boats and houses and stuff like that,
It's
and money.
almost
Sure.
in a way that it's like gold ruined civilization.
Oh,
You
absolutely.
know, like the Spanish conquistadors, they were after hefty gold.
Yeah.
One of their main probably goals was conquering and wealth.
Yeah.
You
Well,
know?
killing for gold, which is but you're killing for a rock.
Yeah.
I don't understand that, right?
But it was just, it's so sought after throughout the whole, like the Egyptians,
Yeah.
bastard. Like, I can't even imagine how much stuff's still under the sand.
Yeah.
You know,
Oh,
speaking about
absolutely.
sand, imagine how much gold is under that sand.
Yeah,
That no
absolutely.
one's
Yeah.
even going to, probably not even in 2 or 3 generations. They're probably still not going to really know what's under there.
No,
And I
no,
can
because
imagine that when
they don't bring
do,
anything out there to dig that up.
yeah,
So, yeah.
what's so wild as well is every other year there was always like, oh, we've discovered this and we've discovered that. And then years ago when Egypt had its brief moment of crisis and there was a lot of grave robbing and stuff
Yeah.
going on, and which was kind of fucked up, but even then it still doesn't quite match what was under all that sand.
Right.
But I think when eventually when they do discover some of it, we're gonna fucking learn a lot more about history than
Yeah,
meets the eye.
probably a lot more than they really want out there. I think that's what they're worried about. Just like when they talk about over here in the U.S. that Area 51 where they have alien ships, they say
Yeah.
most of those alien ships that they found were actually buried in the ground, and they found them during digs. So,
Yeah.
and they were buried in the ground for thousands of years, and they had working technology, and that is even more thousands of years older than our technology, or more advanced. So if they'd been sitting in underground for thousands of years, I mean,
Well, I think-
how advanced are they? Super duper.
Well, I think that there was 11 in total that they, maybe 9 or 11 that they claim to have had.
Yeah.
From certain documents. I think several of those were excavated.
Yes.
Apparently one was shot down in Antarctica.
Yes.
Apparently another one was shot down somewhere else. There's been a couple that have been shot down. There was also one in Russia apparently that was found. Many years before the Roswell incident, surprisingly.
Yeah.
I think about 30 years before then, give or take. And it is wild because there is the technology out there, and when certain people speak about it and you watch documentaries, Bob Lazar being
Oh,
one
sure.
of the big ones, fiber optics was one of the technologies that were, I think, came out of there.
Yeah, reversed engineered. Yeah.
Yeah. Apparently, there was another one that is. I don't know if it's completely true or not, and I've not seen it in use, but it's a form of electromagnetism for like doors and components. So you would. I don't know exactly how it works because it was like a very minute paragraph of what I'd read. Like almost next to nothing, but it was like a form of electromagnetism for using on doors and like elevators and stuff like that. Rather than using a pulley system, you'd use
Sure.
magnets. But I'm not entirely sure how that was, and I've not seen it applied today or in any form of modern day society, so I don't know.
Right.
Right.
Right. They probably don't want to
gonna
put
come
it out
out.
yet. Yeah, because the world isn't. They try to put things out very slowly because they don't want to put it out all at once. Because I'm very confident that they have all this technology and they just have it sitting around waiting to let it go out a little bit at a time. But I just did an interview on my podcast with a guy who wrote a bunch of books on alien abduction, and I said to him, I said, "Do you think that eventually the government is going to come out and say, okay, we have all this technology, and they actually are? I mean, because they have really said they are real, but
Yeah.
I said, do you think they're going to use all the technology? He said, no. He said, I said, what do you think is going to happen? He says, I think they themselves are eventually going to touch down and say, you know what? Here we are. Your government's a bunch of liars, and now they can't lie about it anymore. I said, yeah, I kind of believe the same thing. And it's going to, and he kind of feels as I do, it's going to happen very soon.
Well, I read, this was a few days ago, is trawling my ass through the internet, which occasionally I'll just do for bullshit documentaries, but for some weird reason, I had this like I want to do. I love reading, but I was getting bored of my normal books, and I was like, I want to actually do some serious fucking research. So I'd sort of copped hold of a sort of kind of a man-made based archive of files. And amongst all of this, there was like different projects, and one of them I couldn't even look into. I was looking into it like fuck because it was something I was extremely interested in, and I couldn't find it as hard as I tried. Um, but the alien thing, I think this is where I read about the crafts as well. Um, but there was also some stuff in there about oh shit, lost my train of thought then. Bollocks. What did you? What was the? What did you?
The alien stuff.
Yeah. What was the last thing you said? Sorry.
You were talking about doing some research on
No.
on the alien stuff.
No. What was the last thing that you said? Because I'll remember it from there.
Oh, that I said that eventually aliens are just going to come down, touch down.
Oh yeah.
and say, hey, you
Got
know
it,
what?
got it.
We are here. Yeah.
Yeah. I got it now. Yeah, and then during this.
So you forgot your train of thought, but you wanted me to remember my train of thought.
Yeah. No. But luckily I remembered.
Thanks. Thanks. I remembered.
Luckily I remembered the whole. You know, I remembered it all just off what you said.
Yeah, and you're young, and I'm pretty old. I can't remember shit.
I'm terrible. Trust me, my brain's always on overspill.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've read that apparently we'd made a deal with the aliens a little while after the Roswell incident.
Yes, with President Roosevelt.
Yeah, and I mean it was a spooky little file that I was reading because I was like, man, this kind of seems like bullshit. You know, it was so hard to believe, and it went into many different fields of stuff. It spoke about like a lot of underground tunnels, and it also kind of backed up a weird story that I'd read like months before, and I was like, oh, this fucking old chestnut again. Oh, this is coming back round, and I was like, oh no, maybe there's something to this. But it said that we'd made a deal, so this is where I don't think it will come out. I think that deals have been made. Whatever whatever the arrangement is, I don't know. But I think that's probably it's even if it comes out in a. People have spoke about the only way it'll come out is like a staged attack, like a false attack.
Yeah, they're talking about a red flag event where they're going to have a state.
Yeah.
Like there's an invasion and all that. No. And the whole deal thing, that's them again making up. This is misinformation that they are putting out there, so that we'll believe that as well. That they made a deal with them. But from what I can gather, from what my spirit guides tell me, that's not the truth either. They are eventually going to come here and say, hey, because their idea of wanting to do things is wanting to help us. They're not about money or anything like that. They don't have money where they are, and they don't need money where they are. They are at peace with themselves. They are an evolved species. All these other species, they don't need money. It's not about trade or anything like that. They actually want to help come here so we can all help. They can help us to become better people so that we can eventually take care of each other as they do as well. So that whole deal about trade and making a deal, that's just something that they put out there to spread misinformation, misdirection, to make us think otherwise, so we don't have to keep asking them when are they going to come out with the information.
But do you ever think that there is a more malevolent force out there? I mean, there's obviously, if theoretically aliens advanced us from chimps to humans, and then that was a good thing,
Right? Sure.
And obviously, if they've been helping us since then, and for whatever reasons, but I'd also believe that there's always a bad and a good, because that's
absolutely
human nature. But
Yeah, just as many as there are bad and good people here on Earth, there's probably that many out there as well. But you're gonna have that. I mean, that's just not everybody's the same. Not everybody is good as well. But and this guy I talked to the other day, I said, how many species you think there is? And he said, oh, there's thousands of them.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I said, okay, so there's going to be
I
some bad ones out there, but there's going to be a lot more good than there is bad.
well, I from what I was reading, there's so many different categories of but obviously you get like the normal sort of grey, the Graylians, whatever you want to call them.
Yeah,
But even then, there's a couple of weird subspecies of them where apparently some of them are clones, and
sure.
there's a bunch of weird sort of. I don't even know where half of this information really comes from, which is why I was
Well,
believing some of it was shit. Because I was like, how'd you know this? You know,
well, like I
talking
told you,
about the
I see spirit 24/7, but I don't see just people. When I see spirit, I see dogs, cats, horses, cows, fish, people. I see everything. But what I also see is I see other beings from other worlds as
yeah,
well.
yeah, it's all on the
And
same channel.
when they come through in their form, we would see them and look at them and go, "Oh, that's a monster. That's a demon." But it's not. It's just somebody who that's what they look like, where they come from. That's all. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think there's a whole different mess of species, but I think there's a bunch of people, excuse me, out there in the universe that are just like us.
Yes. Yes.
It's almost
Look like
impossible
us.
to not think so.
Yeah.
It's You can't tell me there isn't. Why? How are we then here?
Right.
you
Yeah.
know?
Well, how are we here? Well, if you ask the people who wrote the Bible, they're going to tell you that we came from just two people, and then they had two sons and I think a daughter. So does that mean they're having incest?
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's why I don't. I
You
mean, I
know.
mentioned the Adam and Eve thing earlier, but when I spoke about that story, I didn't necessarily mean that they all come from maybe two people. That
Right.
just that the Garden of Eden maybe could
Yeah.
have been a place that was
Yeah. It could have been a place, but
there
but
was a good place, but people fucked up. You know,
yeah, yeah. But they were
like two
talking to
people
they
a
were
lot.
talking to a talking snake because that happens, right? Or just
Yeah,
like in the Bible where they say Jonah and the whale, there was a guy who lived in the belly of a whale because that happens all the time as well.
yeah. Well,
You
it
know.
happened in Pinocchio as well.
Right? Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Or
the belly of a
look
whale.
look at
Uh,
Noah. They say he lived for like 560 years because that happens every day too. No, no,
what about
and even that whole flood and everything. There's no way that it could. If it rained for 40 days and 40 nights, there would be so much water in the air you would drown just trying to breathe.
Well, I don't think it was rain. I think when the Great Flood happened, it was the Great Flood when the asteroid hit, and obviously then there was
But that what don't you think that great flood would have? I mean, if there's that much water, it's like if you put a brick in a pool, it's going to rise up a little bit, but it's not going to rise up so much that it's going to cover everything. But what about the water? If it's there was no more water that actually came into the ocean to make more ocean. It's
yeah,
because
yeah,
it's there, but it would have made a big giant wave, but the rest of it somewhere else would have eventually had to even back out. It would have flowed right back, and then
well,
there's
most of
there's
it I
just
think was because of the ice. Because
yeah.
obviously there was the meteor hit, and then there was the big fucking freeze, and then obviously the polar ice caps would melt in, and I don't necessarily think it happened the way it did in the Bible, where it happened over a day. Like, oh shit, this wave's
Happened
coming.
yeah
You know,
like a billion years ago, but it hasn't
you
happened
know,
since.
it
That
probably,
doesn't make sense.
I mean, it probably happened over like a month period. Where it was like, oh man, this is rising pretty quick, rather
Right.
than just
Well, we had those big giant meteors that also landed like a billion years ago, but it
oh,
hasn't
this.
happened since.
Well,
Again.
that's the crazy thing is that there's I think there's been about four that have apparently hit us, but there hasn't really been a single
Nothing.
one
No.
since the Younger Dryas period.
Yeah, I saw something on a TV show. They it was back in the '60s, and some guy was filming one, and you see this one meteor, that was in the sky. It was just going across the sky, and they said it was so close. It actually went in between us and the moon. That's how close it was. And if they said that would have hit, then that would have been a planet ender
Well,
right there.
there
Yeah.
was one in Russia though, a couple of years ago, wasn't there? When I think about it now, there was. I can't remember. I think it was like 2012 or some shit. There was, and it wasn't, catastrophic, but it. But again, it landed in Russia. There isn't a great
Right.
deal about where it landed. You know,
Right.
it. Thankfully, it probably was a good place where it did land. Not saying it
Yeah.
was,
Russia would have been
but
okay.
if
Take
Well, it
out
could
that
have.
Rush.
It could have. Well, it could have landed anywhere really. It's just chance, isn't it? If the Earth would have spanned for another
Well,
3 hours, it could have been somewhere else.
we think of that something landing there because and then but we don't think about all the innocent women and children over there. Not everybody's bad. We just think we wanted to take out the government. That's all, you know.
What do you mean? Sorry, say that again.
Well, like if we're thinking, oh, I wish an asteroid would land on
Oh
Russia,
yeah,
but
yeah. I know
what
what
they
you mean.
wanted to do was land on top of their government
Yeah,
building and not the rest of the place, you know.
yeah.
But
That's
that's how
that's
we
the
think.
thing.
That's how we think.
No, I know what you're saying now. It's like, do you know what? That's a very good example as well because people say stuff like that, but people just then think that you assume that you mean everybody,
Yeah,
and not the
absolutely.
actual singular thought, like the
Yes,
intent. Like
absolutely.
most people, I'm kind of a bit of an anarchist. I'm not a fucking great fan of the government.
Yeah, yeah, me
Uh,
either.
but most of the time when people talk like that and talk shit, they go, "Oh man, I wish the bomb had fucking annihilate that place."
Yeah,
It's,
yeah,
it's mainly because they're just talking about the people in power of that place. But
yeah.
even then, it's meant as a joke. But most people don't necessarily think about all the millions of lives. They just think about, hey, this
Just
fucking place sucks.
yeah, just taking
We need to
those few
get
people
rid of the
out. Yeah,
power.
yeah.
It's a
I'm actually right there with them. That's I mean that's the only way we could change everything over here in America is we basically need a reset in order. But in order to do that, we have to take out the whole government. That's the only way it would go away.
what
Only
state
way.
are you in?
I live in this little state called Delaware. We were the first state of the
Okay.
United States.
Yeah,
That
yeah. I
whole
mean,
idea of the United States needs to also go away.
what
Doesn't work.
in what way?
Well, it just doesn't work. I mean, they want us to put all of our money into the tax system, but we all still have crappy roads, and then but what doesn't make sense to me is we have crappy roads, we have a crappy system, we don't have enough infrastructure for all the people, but yet all the government officials are all millionaires. So how is that possible? And their jobs that they work don't pay them enough to be millionaires, but somehow they are all millionaires. So how is that possible?
Do you know what I've never really seen? And I mean, it'd be good. Do you know when you watch that job lot, the show Secret Boss
Okay.
or whatever it is, where someone goes in and they get to like almost be in the role of something or whatever.
Sure.
It'd be interesting to do that in a government perspective and to see the inner workings. For like a month, because you couldn't do it for a week, because
No,
a week
you wouldn't get
seems.
much done.
Yeah, yeah. Well, not necessarily that, but people can put up a good play for a
Sure.
week.
Sure.
It's like, hey, this dude's coming in for the week.
Yeah.
You know, but if it's a month, people will crack.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's too
They're
long.
eventually going to
It's
talk to him.
too long.
Yeah.
So I think a show like that would be cool because it'd be
Yeah.
like, what are the inner workings? Let's send some guy in. All covert, like Sacha Baron Cohen, almost the way he does.
Yeah. Yeah. Put him in there. Yeah.
It wouldn't be able to be him, but he's probably a good candidate. If he'd have done it back in the day, he could have done that.
Yeah. I just saw him on like a little news clip the other day, and he was talking pretty poorly about the government and all that stuff. But it was the truth. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, is it
Basically
some of
saying
the
the same thing. You know, they're all in power. They have all this power, and how do they have all this power and all this money, but yet everyone else doesn't? You know, so doesn't make sense. It's like we have over here in the government. There's this woman named Nancy Pelosi, and
yeah
her husband is actually a billionaire. Why? Because he has a construction company. She gets all these government contracts that come in, and then she gives them to her husband, and then he, you know, and yeah, he's got a lot of people that work for him, and this is, but he's a billionaire now. He's a
Well,
billionaire because of her. That's it. So that's not
brick and,
fair.
brick and mortar makes money.
Yeah,
It's
but she shouldn't be giving all these contracts to her husband. They should go to other people who could do it just as well. But she finagles it so her husband gets it, so she can remain a billionaire. And then
yeah, but
when you have that kind of money, you're empowered. Yet she would complain about our previous president, Donald Trump, for being a billionaire, but her husband is a billionaire, which doesn't make sense. It's all misdirection.
I mean, it is almost, it's like smoke and mirrors, you know,
Yeah,
it's all misdirection.
they do that to keep everybody occupied so that they don't realize what's actually going on in the world, which is them lying to everybody.
What's kind of crazy, and this is the bad thing, is if anyone was given that position, whatever it is, any higher power or authority, your ego is going to get ramped up.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
And your ego is a killer. And the minute that you get into that position, you're going to kind of use it to an advantage.
Sure.
And,
Sure.
you know, probably, I'm not saying a lot of the governments like that, but most people in the world would do that.
Yeah.
Just
That's why we need to take it away.
And the crazy thing is, some people will do it for greed, but some people will do it for love. Some people, for an example, you know, they're like, oh, my mum's looked after me for my whole life. Man, I'll put her in some fucking, she wants a bakery? Okay, or whatever, you know?
Right.
Let's sort that out, you know? And that's what's crazy, is sometimes that, you know, little moments like that, and the ego can be driven by, you know, greed, love, and
Sure.
loads of multiple different things. So sometimes it's also hard to pick at the government, because a lot of people in that position, given the opportunity,
Right.
I think they'd do it, you know.
Yeah, well, and they also get free health care out of that as well, and they're getting paid for it as well. So yeah, it's all about money, power, greed, strategy, all that stuff. Sure, they work it for themselves, and they help them. They want us to believe that they're all at each other's throats, but they're actually not. They walk away from the cameras and pat each other on the backs and say, "Oh, we hoodwinked them again." Absolutely, let's keep at it. Yeah.
Well, let's get back off the conspiracies.
Sure.
I like to occasionally delve into it, and you're a fun candidate for it, because you've got very interesting points. But let's get back onto the sort of paranormal.
Sure. Yeah. What do you want to know?
Obviously, you get one of the problems, and I asked this question to when I had the hypnotist on, is you get a lot of people that play the bullshit card. You know, that's
Sure, there are a lot of them.
Nonsense, and the problem is, I've found lately is a lot of the younger generation, mostly on Reddit, have played into this weird sort of category. And the only reason that I know a little bit about it is because, you know, I'm a pagan and I do my own weird mess of stuff.
Sure.
And occasionally stuff comes creeping my way, and I'm like, man, this guy's full of shit. You know.
Sure.
Just most of the time, because when it comes to when I'm talking, I mean, most of my stuff is like paganism, but I do also believe in a lot of other stuff. The only reason I believe in paganism is because I believe in a lot of gods, so it's easy to just, people go, paganism, believe in the devil. No. I believe in a multitude of gods, and it all sort of, it's easy to just say paganism. most of them are all old as fuck, you know. To the point, I do believe in a lot of, like, you know, Egyptian and Greek and Norse pagan gods and stuff like that. You know, a lot of Celtic stuff and a whole mess of stuff. But alongside that is, you get like certain chat rooms and people just spouting bullshit. What's your thoughts on these people? Because they have existed for a while. People that are just out for the coin and just
Yeah,
going, hey, I can
there are.
do a tarot reading, for an example,
Yeah.
and over a Zoom, get out
Yeah.
of town, you
Well,
know?
some people are. I know some people who just learn how to do tarot cards, but all they're doing is just reading the cards. It comes with a book and it tells you all the meanings of the cards, and that's all they are doing as well. But I know some others who actually have an intuitive gift and then use the cards along with it. Those are the ones that I trust. Uh, but I, but at the same time that they're doing a reading for someone, I'm actually talking to my guides, and when they get something, I'm getting the same answer as well before they even get it. So I know those ones are the real ones, but there's other ones out there again. Yeah, they just do it for the magic part of it, or they do it for like being a fortune teller or something like that.
Yeah, yeah.
But a lot of that has been ruined for everyone by TV and movies because they want everyone out there to think that we are all psychics, and that's not the truth as well either. So I do get psychic messages sometimes, but I don't claim to be a psychic whatsoever because usually what you get is somebody goes, "Hey, can you tell me what I'm thinking right now?" And I go,
Yeah,
"Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
I don't know about you, but I know what I'm thinking. I don't want to talk to you because you're an asshole because you want to try everybody. That's what you're thinking." But uh, but yeah, but there are a lot of people. There are a lot of what I call quacks and hacks that are in this
Yeah.
business. They learn how to just read people to like they walk in the room and they can see what they do by their body language and how they carry themselves and stuff like that.
It's like
There's a lot of
neurolinguistic
them.
programming,
Yeah,
quite, you know, it's the same sort of thing, you know. It's like what Darren Brown does. Most of his stuff, and, you know, he admits what he does. He goes, hey, this is what I'm doing, and blah, blah, blah. But most of that is all just through neurolinguistic programming, which,
yeah,
you know, it's kind of an easy skill to learn if you put some time into it. The same with sleight of hand
sure,
tricks,
sure.
you know. Um,
Yeah, there's a lot of them out there who
excuse me.
do that. A lot of them are just doing it for one thing, just to make money as well. But I'm not one of them. I'm not one of those. I don't need 6 cars and 7 houses and 10 boats. I do it to help people. When I do a reading for someone, that reading usually lasts for 2 or 3 hours, and I only charge them the one time because I'm. It's more important for me to get them their answers than it is to because I know a lot of people out there who are more connected to your pocket than they are connected to anything else.
Yeah, yeah. But that's the thing is like I've known a few people in my past that have gone I don't know, not quite weekly, but maybe monthly.
Yeah, that's
Um
too much. They shouldn't be going that much.
yeah,
Because then
and they've
they're
done it
not
for
actually
years.
experiencing their life at that point. They're letting this other person tell them what's going to happen every single day. And you're not supposed to do that. You're supposed to go out and experience your life a lot. But what people do, unfortunately, is when I give someone their information, it's up to them to use that information in the way that it's intended. But a lot of people, like we were talking about earlier, they like to use their ego and
Yeah.
they like to turn it around because they want to try to make it just a little bit better than what it was that I gave them. And usually what happens after that is it goes to shit because they used their ego for it to manipulate it. When you get an answer from spirit, it's very black and white. You ask a question, they give you the answer, listen to what it says, follow through with it. But when you turn it around a little bit and you're using your ego to do things, then it's going to go to shit because that's what you did. They gave you the answer. So go do what the answer was and not try to turn it around because you're a dipshit. Because that's what people do. They just, oh,
That's what they do.
I want to make it better. If I ask spirit, should I buy this car? Is that a yes or a no? And then I tell them, I go, yes. I go, oh, I'm going to go buy the
Yeah,
car.
yeah.
But then they say, you know what? Let me take some of the money and not put a full payment on. And I'll go get some jewelry and maybe I'll get a big TV. And
You're
then what
almost
happens 6
explaining
months
this
later,
person as well.
their
It's
car's in
crazy.
hock 6 months later because they didn't
Yeah.
make the right amount of payments and all that. And then they come up to me and they go, but you told me. I said, yeah. But then I also find out, I said, did they fuck around with it? And they say, yeah. And I said, okay, you didn't do exactly what I told you to do. You tried to make it a little bit better for yourself. Well, yeah. I mean, I thought, no, that's the problem. You fucking thought. Stop thinking Listen to what spirit tells you to do, then go fucking do it. Stop using your stupid ego to change it around. Oh, well, if you put it that way, and I tell them, I'm not putting it that way. It is that way because you fucked up with it and you turned it around and tried to do something better, correct? Yes, I did. Well, next time, either listen to me or stop coming to me because I'm not going to give you information that you're not going to use.
That makes complete sense.
Yeah, they do it all the time. I have them do it all the time. It's a shame too because they're paying me money to get them answers. And what sucks about it is they want answers from spirit. You're asking the messages that I get from the archangels. It's the highest form of where you're going to get messages from. I mean, because I'm getting it from archangels. You have God, archangels, what they call lesser angels. They just have lesser responsibilities. Then you have spirit guides, then you have spirit, then us, and then negative energy. So you're getting it. If I get an answer from you, it's coming from God. It's just coming. They are just giving me the answer. So if you're getting an answer from God about something you want to do, because here's the thing, they always ask me, well, can you get the lottery numbers? God doesn't give a shit about lottery numbers. But if I gave you the lottery numbers, you would go play them and win, right? Yes. Well, if I give you the number, I give you the information about you to go buy a car, then that means just go buy the fucking car. It doesn't mean turn it around and go buy some jewelry with it, right? Oh, well, you put it that way. No, I'm not putting it that way. It is that way.
That's probably one of the most frequent questions you get asked. Can you,
all the time.
Solve me them lottery numbers next week.
I get that one, or I get, here's the other big one. Am I going to find my soulmate? People don't realize what a soulmate is. A soulmate is not absolutely someone you're going to fall in love with. A soulmate is a soul that when you were home, because this is not home, you were there, that's home. Okay. So when you are home, that's a soul that you connected with there, that you worked very well with there. And then you happen to both be here at the same time and you meet up again. So that soul can actually be a dog, a cat, a horse. You know, it could be your mom, it could be your dad, it could be your best friend. It's somebody that you work very well with. That's what a soulmate. It's not always someone that you're going to fall in love with. And TV and movies have ruined that for us. Because they want everybody to think it's somebody you're going to fall in love with. And yeah, I love the people who go, yeah, I found my soulmate. We're so happy together. And then you see them 2 years later. I go, how's your soulmate? Oh, we got divorced. Oh, so I guess it wasn't your soulmate, was it? Well, yeah, no, well, because you're a dumbass. That's what.
Do you want to take a quick little 5-minute intermission?
Oh, I'm okay.
So I just quickly need a piss.
Oh, go ahead. I'll wait for you.
That was the only reason I was saying it.
Yeah.
That's why I was trying to be polite.
I'm old. I got a bladder that lasts, I take a whiz at nighttime and then a whiz in the morning and I'm done.
Yeah. Mine doesn't work so well. I've had like kidney stones. So
oh my gosh, yeah.
Yeah, it's been a tricky one. This month's been full of fucking shock surprise.
Quit drinking the milk. Holy shit.
Sorry about that. I thought you was... Looked like
no, big. Yeah, the rest of my ears anyway. These things hurt my ears after a while.
Yeah, I tend to get ones that completely cup over your whole ear. I have like fucking big ears myself, so I tend to get larger frame ones. One thing that I want to get into,
yeah, sure.
just turn my ass around, is back on the subject of like the paranormal entities. You spoke about at the start of the show with your own experiences.
Sure.
What's been one of the most craziest experiences? I know that you said, with the skeletons and etc. I mean, one of the most fucking craziest experiences I had was I woke up during a moment of like sleep paralysis.
Sure.
And there was these weird sort of shadowy people at the end of my bed. There was all different sort of sizes as well. Just kind of odd. They weren't all the same size and shape. And then I sort of kind of curled back up under my covers because it was a pretty scary moment. It was, it was a fair few years ago now. But it was also a moment where, again, I was under the influence of hefty amounts of, drugs. And it was a very wild moment because it was kind of fucked up because it was so vivid, like the shape of them. There was like four of them, I think. Like there was a weird sort of fattish shaped one. One that was next to him that was a little bit taller, some smallish one, and then this slenderish one that sort of went over my wardrobe and sort of over the ceiling, kind of a ceiling wallish, like sort of diagonal. And that was pretty wild. Have you had anything that's like super horrifying like that? Because it was, I mean, for me that was horrifying.
Well, it's kind of hard to. I mean, I'll try to think of something, but it's hard for me to pick out one because when I say I see spirit all the time. Like right now, I'm in a low lit room. If I look at the wall, like if you look at your wall behind you and your wall is brown, I don't see that when I look at your wall, or if I look at anything that I look at, my vision is kind of different now, since this gift has come in. So when I look at your brown wall through the computer here, your wall is brown and blue. So, and what that is I see energy all the time, all within my regular vision. When I go outside at nighttime, if you look up in the sky, I don't see the stars in the sky anymore. That's all gone. It went away like 3 years ago. All I see is the moon and a blue-black sky, and then I just see faces and people walking around and all that stuff. So sometimes the crazy stuff. But I know just recently, so like I said, I physically cross them. They like me to go in my meditation room and then get it nice and black in there, and then I see into the earthbound realm. And last time I did that, I started seeing them. I don't see any. I see land. I don't see any homes or any trees or anything like that. I see people, and there's thousands of them. They're all just walking around talking to each other. And so I asked them, I said, does anyone here want to cross over? And when I did that, see, they don't see me like you see me. They see me like a light bulb. All they see is a light. They don't see the body frame. Whereas anybody else, when spirit sees you, they see your body, but they also like the frame of your body, but they see your spirit, your soul inside of you.
An aura.
Yeah. All they see with me is the light. That's it, because I'm the light. So so all they see is that. So when they come up to me all the time, I get touched and poked and pinched all day long because they don't know what I am. They walk up and want to see what it is. So I go in and I see them standing there and I say, hey, does anybody want to cross over? Next thing you know, I said, yes, my name is Daniel. You see this light? I am the light. I'm here to help you. And I'm here to help you cross over. Does anybody want to cross over? And they start lining up. And I'm crossing them over, and there's big flashes of light going off around me. It happens physically. I see it all the time. Other people I know see it around me, and they can't figure out what the fuck it is until I tell them what it is. So this goes on, and they're just going and going and going and going. And I'm watching them go through in these big lines. And then I said, okay, it looks like everything kind of calmed down. Does anybody else want to cross over? And then I heard a voice, and the voice came through. It was this nasty sounded voice, and it said, you just crossed over 6,000 of them. Why do you need to cross over anymore? I said, because it's time for them to go home. They're not supposed to be here. They're supposed to be home. God wants all his children to come home. So let's get them all home. He's like, but we need them here. And I said, well, you need them because they need them there because they suck energy off of them. That's what I was going to say. These negative ones have to have negative energy to survive. But in order to cross over into the light, you have to let go of all your negativeness in order to do that. So I said, well, let's get them all through here, as many as we can. He's like, no, you're taking them away from us. You just crossed over 6,000 of them. I said, well, you know what? I'm going to cross over 6,000 more just because you don't want me to do it. So, hey, everybody, let's go this way. Come this way. Follow the light. Come up to the light. Move into the light. Pass through the light. And that's what they did. And they just started coming. But at that time, there was like a bunch of dogs and cats and horses and cows and giraffes alligators and possums and raccoons, all this stuff. They were all just coming to me and stuff like that. And I could hear this boy getting angrier and angrier and stuff. But
See, you doing this crossover,
Mhm.
and I can almost visualize in my mind. Again, you're in this meditation room.
yeah.
And again, when you're doing that, almost astral projecting yourself.
No, I'm completely
I'd
and totally
imagine.
awake. I'm totally
Okay.
awake. Yeah, that's the one thing about it for me. I'm totally awake when I'm doing it.
Okay.
I close my eyes, but because I have that room such darkened out, I can have my eyes open. Like even right here, I'm sitting in this room. It's a kind of a low lit room. It looks like there's light on me, but there's not. There's not a lot of light in here.
Yeah.
But
No, I just didn't.
yeah, I can see spirit. I can see spirit here. I mean, I can describe the. Is that the regular guy? Yeah. So there's a guy standing in front of me right now. So I have this curtain that's kind of right here, and I can see him in it because it's a blackened curtain. And oh, he's not a nice one. So and the reason I say that is because as soon as I pay attention to it and focus in on it, he starts turning red. And when I see red ones, that means they are negative energies.
Well, that's what you pay attention to negativity, and it tends to.
This guy's got
envelop
this guy has big bushy eyebrows and a big bushy goatee. It kind of sticks out like a beard a little bit, but it's real bushy looking. And he's got a bald head, and he's walking around. He's like, it looks like he's tromping his feet, like he's getting mad at me because I'm talking to him. Yeah, he keeps shaking his head at me like I don't want you talking to me.
See, what would be crazy is to have I've done a couple of them were bullshit, but like ghost walks.
Yeah, I tell people not to go on those because
they're crap.
Well, not just because because there's a lot of negative energies that hang out at them.
Yeah.
And what happens is if you're walking through and you had a bad day or a bad week or a bad year, they will attach themselves to you and you'll go home with them. And then because when you put out negative energy, when you're having a rough time of it, that's what they look for. They find people who are having these horrible lives, and when they do that, they exude negative energy. So they attach themselves to you. Then they give you a little bit of negative energy to keep you negative all the time, so that you will continuously put out this negative energy. So it will remain with you, and it just turns you into a horrible person. And then what happens is when it's time for them to go and the crossover, they see the light and go, I don't want to go in there. I'm going to stay here. And then they remain here. It turns into one big vicious circle after a while. Yeah.
Well, I mean,
there's more of them there than that don't cross over. Like here, if you're around a negative person, you can just stand up and walk away. Where there, because there's no space and time, again, they're harder to get away from. They're everywhere and you can't get away from them. So you're just kind of stuck there with them. But you made that choice to stay there as well.
You ever see, because I mean, when I went on one, they had these spirit boxes.
Yeah.
You ever seen
I had one of those used on me.
So you were, so again.
I had one used on me before I found out I had this gift or this ability. So I'm seeing so many spirit. I had a
used on you. What do you mean?
Oh, you're gonna love this one. So so I had a paranormal group come to my house because I was seeing so much stuff. After I told my wife when I told her about all this stuff, she thought maybe because I'm diabetic, I had some problems with my medication. Maybe I was going crazy a little bit. But 3 days after she came back from her trip, she started seeing all the skeletons and all that stuff in the house as well. So we ended up having a paranormal group come to the house. Okay. And when they did, they set up all their equipment. They had these little boxes that had lights on them and little wires sticking off of them. And I said to the guy, what's that? And he said, well, it goes by static electricity. He rubbed his hand on my couch and then he waved his hand over top of it. When he did, the boxes all lit up. Okay. And they went bloop, lit up. So he put them over by this chair and by this door. And then there was a girl who had a digital camera. She was taking pictures. A guy was taking videotape. And then one guy was just observing and this other guy was asking questions. And they said, so where do you have a lot of your activity going? I said, well, in the bedroom. They said, can we go in there? I said, sure. I walk in the door, and when I did, every one of those boxes went bloop and lit up. And then I turn around and look at them from behind me, and I was like, what's up with that? And they're looking at me like they can't figure it out. They walk through the door, and nothing happens. We're in the bedroom, we're talking. One guy says, can we go in the closet? I'm drawn to that. We go in the closet. He gets sick, like he's getting ready to throw up. He says, I got to get out of here. I said, yeah, because there's all kinds of shit in here. And so we go out. We go back out to leave out of the room. I walk through the door, and every one of those boxes lights up again. They're all behind me, and nothing. They come through the door, and nothing happens. So then the girl is walking around with a camera taking pictures of these digital photos. She takes 26 pictures. Every picture, she takes a picture of one of the guys in the team, and then one of the guys in the team standing next to me. And every time they're standing next to me, I got like 15 or 20 light orbs completely surrounding me. And they're like, what the hell's going on? And I'm like, you're the freaking expert. You're supposed to know this shit. So they bring out this thing. It's called like a spirit box, an Ovilus, okay? And what it is when energy goes into it, it spits out words. So they had me do this test where I went into the bedroom and laid down and pretended like I was asleep because this was at nighttime. And then they come in and they turn this thing on. So they came in, turned it on. As soon as they turned it on, it starts spitting out words. I didn't even have to ask questions. It comes out, it says Helen, Paul, Michael, Wendy. It said light, energy, special, unique. One time it said the word road, like a street. It said in that computer voice, it said road. And when it did that, a car went right past my house. And I'm going, what the fuck? So I'm still like, so then they start asking the questions. And that's when it got crazy. They asked it questions and they said, are you here to harm Daniel? And then it comes right out and it says, we are not here to harm Daniel. We love Daniel. Daniel is unique. Daniel is the light. When it said Daniel is the light, I was like, what the fuck is that supposed to mean? They asked questions of this thing and it answered for 10 minutes straight. Everything they asked it came out an intelligent response. So they leave the room, they get done. I get up, I get out of bed, I go out to the living room. And I see my wife there, and they're all huddled up. And I said, what's going on? She says, I don't know. They're talking about something. They turn around. I said, so what's going on? I said, did you guys listen to that? And they said, yeah, we heard that, Mr. Jackson. I said, okay. I said, so what about it? He said, we don't know. I said, why? He said, well, whenever we use that box, we can get it to spit out a word or two, but it never says sentences. And I said, okay, so what's that mean? He said, we don't know because it never says sentences. We're going to have to figure this out. He said, we'll come back in a couple of weeks. We'll do a big reveal, all that stuff. 2 weeks goes by, 3 weeks goes by, 4 weeks. It was 6 weeks before I got a hold of these people. And then when I called them and got a hold of them, I said, are you going to come back and do the big reveal? He said, no, we can't come back. I said, why not? He said, because the team quit. No one wants to come back to your house. They're too scared. I said, well, can you come back? He said, I don't feel comfortable being in your house. I said, well, what's the deal? He said, well, like I said, we don't get that kind of information. Usually it takes us like 10 or 15 houses to get all that information. And we got all that from one house. And we're just too scared to come back in your house. I said, so the team broke up. He said, yeah, they've all quit. No one wants to go back. No one wants to do this anymore. They're scared because of your house. And I said, okay. So, you're the professionals. You're supposed to be helping me, but you're not helping me, at that point. So it was after that, I was going to try to get a priest to come to the house and do like an exorcism, but priests, they don't want nothing to do with that shit no more. They don't do it. So I ended up getting mediums, and I went to 5 different mediums. Each one of them, none of them knew each other, but each one of them told me the same story about me. And it is, I have an ability to see spirit, but they come to me because they believe I'm the light into heaven. And fortunately for them, I am. That's why they're coming to me. So I see them. I have an ability to see them, but I see so many and when I say I see many, my day, like if I'm in a dark room, I can't even look into a TV that's turned off because I just start seeing people walking around in it. If I'm in a dark room, it's like being in a room with 1,000 people, except nobody leaves and more people coming in. So like when we were talking earlier, how you said, can you describe one of the instances? I see probably about 1,000 spirit every single day. So just to describe one is absolutely impossible to do, because it's like going to a store and you walk past 1,000 people as you walk through the store and trying to pick out one person. So yeah, it's just that kind of thing. So, but and this is for me every single day of my life for the past 5 years. Uh-oh, I lost your vocals. Yeah, your vocals are going. I can't hear you.
Because the mic's
There you are. Oh, it went away again. It might be the cord.
Is that better?
Yep, that's back now.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with this cord. It was playing up earlier. So strange. That's so wild there, man.
Yeah.
I mean, I knew picking at a singular moment would be tricky. It's so many wild
that guy that I saw in the middle of my
moments. That story.
Yeah, that guy I saw in the middle of my basement floor. You could look him up. They call him the Hat Man.
The Hat Man.
Yeah, you can look him up on Google. He's called the Hat Man. I see the Hat Man frequently. People think that he is some evil, like demonic spirit and stuff like that. He's actually not even in spirit. I see him so many times. I even know. So he comes here. He checks out children, and then he comes back and checks them out a few years later when they've grown up a bit.
Super creepy.
Yeah, and the reason he's coming here is not in spirit. He's coming from another dimension, because he's here to see us, because we have an ability to speak with spirits, and in the dimension he comes from, they don't have that ability. So he comes here to watch over us, to see if he can try to figure out how we're doing it and why we're doing it. And so bringing that in and trying to bring that information back to where he's at in his place. I talk to him all the time, and he tells me, he says that he doesn't have anything against me. He's just being paid by other people to come through here to see if he can figure out how I do this. And I keep telling him, you can't figure it out. It comes through with my soul. He said, well, I keep getting paid to come through here and try to figure it out. I'm going to keep doing it so I can get paid. I said, yeah, I get that. But that's what he's here to do, to try to figure it out. But he's never going to be able to figure it out, because it comes through with your soul. So you either, like I said, you either have it or you don't. There's people who think that they can take a class for this and go to school for this. You can't. You either have it or you don't.
That's fucking crazy, man. Yeah. Why is it called the Hat Man? What's the
because every time he comes through with this big black hat on and this long black coat. And everybody else who has seen him said he has like really bright red eyes. I haven't seen that part. He comes through when I see him. Now when he comes through, he has like a long coat on, and he wears like a fedora. And when he comes in, I look at him. I say, "Hey, buddy, how's it going?" And he takes his hat and he flips his hat at me. He says, "Hey, how are you?" I said, "I'm good."
Can you just give me 2 seconds? For some reason, my fucking screen recorder's just decided to stop.
Yeah.
After I unplugged my mic, it makes no difference because Zoom's still on the go.
Your microphone got really loud.
Yeah, I'm not sure what was going on with that. What a fucking problem that's going to be. I don't know what's going on. My screen recorder's just gone tits up for some reason. I can't. It completely was like, after I plugged in, it was like, no, it was stopped now, and then all of a sudden, it's decided that it doesn't want to do anything. Oh well, fuck it. I've still got it going on Zoom. Makes no difference. I'll just have to actually cut and edit it like a real person. Yeah. Oh, editing does suck. I mean, normally what I'll do, like I say, I'll have that little pre-show bit like we did earlier. The occasional piss break intermission, which I then just cut from the start 3, 2, 1. But this time I've got to take out the first little bit here, and it's okay. It means I've got to look into it. If anything, it was probably because we was talking about too many entities.
Maybe, yeah.
There was like, we can't have this.
Where they are pure energy, so they can manipulate these types of things to stop working or to work as well. They can turn lights on and off, all kinds of stuff.
Well, that's what's. I've seen a story the other day, and I don't know how true it could be. That some person's keyboard was like sort of clicking away in the middle of the night, and I was like, oh no, we have to believe that or not. It's kind of hard to prove, you know. Someone just saying it with words, with no video in this modern day. But what's your thoughts on that? I mean, you said earlier on, you know, like ghosts and entities fucking around. Do you ever think that they're like poltergeists?
The term poltergeist, that's just another made up type of
I know it's a
thing.
coined term, you know.
Yeah, it's just a coined term is all it is, but all they are just they are spirits who are either they are nice or they're not nice. That's pretty much it. I think I lost my video.
I can still see you. That's what I'm saying. Some weird, wacky shit's going on.
Yeah.
I don't know what that is.
My video for you is gone, but
really? Wow.
Yeah.
We're crystal clear, my end. That's so strange.
Yeah, it's kind of strange. But yeah, it's just a
What the fuck? That's so bizarre. We're almost coughing in sync as well. That's weird. That's even more strange.
Oh, there we go. I'm back with you.
Some weird Matrix shit then.
That's just a coin term that they brought in to just to give us some type of another explanation. But all they are, you either have really good positive energies or you have negative energies. And the negative energies, because where they are, just like positive energies, they are made up of pure energy. So and what they can do is they can read your thoughts. They can read your mind. That's how they communicate because it's all telepathy type thing. That's how I hear them all the time when they talk to me. And
that was a
subject. Say strange things when they come up to me and talk to me.
That was a subject on my notes as well. Telepathy. I was going to get into that.
Talk like people. I had one like a few months ago. I was meditating, and this guy ran up. I could see him. He came right up to me, and as he came up to me, he yelled at me. He said, "Hey, are you Irish?" And I was like, "What?" And now using my third eye. When you use your third eye, there's no front and back. There's no side to side. It's just so I saw him run past me, even though my head was still facing that way because I know which way I was sitting. But I saw him run past me, and I said to him, "I said, yes, I'm Irish." And he said, "Okay, thanks." And then that was it. And I just kept on going. That's so random. One guy, I said, I woke up in the morning. This was years ago, and I said, "Is there anybody here? Anybody want to say anything?" And a guy's voice came through and said, "I got no time. I'm going to a party." And I was like, "What?"
What was he wearing? What was he wearing?
I have no idea. I couldn't even see him. All I said, he says, "I'm just going to a party." I had two guys come up one time, and they saw the light, and they walked up, and I see they come up. They just kind of float in, and they look at me because, again, they don't know what I am. They're just staring at the light. And one guy said to the other guy, "I think I'm going to go in." And the other guy said to him, "I can't go in." He said, "Why not?" He said, "Because I murdered two people." And he said, "Well, I'm going in. See you later." So he jumps in and a big flash of light goes off. And then I said to him, I said, "Hey, buddy." And he turns around and looks at me. I said, "Yeah, there's a voice coming out of the light. My name's Daniel. I'm here to help you." I said, "Why don't you just cross over?" And he said, "I can't." He said, "I killed two people." I said, "Yeah, but what you did is what you were supposed to do. It's okay. Everything's okay because everything you do in your life is what you're supposed to do. It gets you to where you are in that point in your life." I said, so you've passed away now, but it's time for you to cross over. He wants you to come home." And he said, "Well, don't I have to ask for forgiveness or something like that?" I said, "No, what you have to do is be able to let go of all your pain, anger, sorrow, grief, guilt, and just decide, say, okay, I don't want that anymore, and then just walk in. And when you do, it'll go away. You just have to want to go, and you have to accept that." And he was like, "I just can't do it. I don't think I'm ready to do it." And I said, "Okay, well, It's always up to you, but it's your choice. But I did tell him, as I tell everybody, once I die this time, I'm not coming back. The light is not coming back. So once the light goes out, there's not going to be another one for a very long time. And I explained to him, I always tell them what year it is too, because I ask them, when did you die? And they tell me, and I say, well, this is 2021 right now. And they're like, really? Did that much time pass? And I say, yeah, because where you're at. I said, you ever notice you never get tired? And he's like, yeah, I don't know. I said, you never fall asleep? He said, yeah, I feel like I think I died a couple of days ago. I say, no, you died like 40 years ago. Holy shit. I go, yeah. So, because you don't know how long you've been gone. I said, so when I die, which is going to be in another like 30 years, um, then that light's going to go out, and you're only going to see one more light. And when you do, that's your last chance to go in. And he said, why? And I said, well, as I tell everybody, because this place is coming to an end. And when it does, there's going to be that one chance that everybody can leave and go through. And then after that, you're going to be stuck on a planet that's not going to have anybody on it. So you're just going to be walking around like you do now with nothing to do for the rest of eternity. Do you
Yeah.
want that? And he's like, no, I don't want to do that. I said, well, you better make up your mind real quick. And he was like, okay, thanks a lot. And
Have
he just
you
walked away.
ever had that as a buzz question? Like, when am I going to die? I
Oh,
bet
sure.
that's
People ask me that all the time.
I bet that comes
I'm
up a
going to be
lot.
dead when I'm 83. I'm going to die in August. My birthday's in November, but I'm going to die in August, on the third week of August, on a Wednesday.
Wow, that's super precise.
Yeah.
Like, that's crazy. Do you know how?
I'm just actually going to go to sleep and not wake up. But I'm not going to wake up living, but you'll wake up
No,
in
I know
real
what you
life.
mean. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Have
Yeah.
you
So
ever
yeah.
had anyone ask you that, and then you're like, well, I don't know whether to tell you or not. Or,
Yeah.
have you ever?
Yeah. People. Yeah. So like, here's a for instance one.
I'm going to ask you, don't
Sure.
you?
My mother-in-law was very sick. She had stage 4 cancer. And she asked me, she asked me in this way. She said, you think you can ask your people how long I've got left? She said, I don't want to be here anymore. I'm just sick and tired of being sick and tired. I want to get out of here. And I was with my wife, and I said, look, I said, I told her, I said, I don't like that to tell people this stuff. This was in the very beginning. And this was early 2000. No, this was 2018. So yeah. So, uh, yeah, 2008 or 2019, something like that. And and I told her, I said, well, and she said, just get an answer for her. Just tell her something. I said, all right. I said, well, if I'm going to tell her something, I have to tell her the real answer. She said, okay. And so I talked to my guides, and I asked, because they're archangels, they're connected to everybody. So I'm connected to everybody as well. And that's why I'm able to get answers for anybody. You can ask me a question, I'll get the answer for you. So I talked to them. I asked them. I went back to my mother-in-law. I said, you have 2 weeks. And she said, 2 weeks? I said, yes, you have 2 weeks. So whatever you want to get together, get it together. So at that point, she started writing everything down that she wanted my wife and I to know. And she died 2 weeks to the day.
That's crazy, man.
She was gone.
When do you think I'll die? When do you think I'll die? Do you reckon you can guess that? I mean, I've got my own sort of weird speculation.
Maybe 87.
It's better figure than what I
had. Now I can tell you when you'll die, but I have no control, or only you have control.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. I mean,
yeah, you have control over the quality of your life, but no quantity.
Well, I mean, I think, well, I'd like to say I would live that long. Something tells me I'm not going to.
Well,
I don't know what it is.
If you use your free will to change the way that you do things, that will change it.
Well, that's the thing with free will.
Yeah.
Is
but
that
at this moment, that's when you're going to pass away now. But if you do a bunch of like crazy dumb things, like if you talk yourself out of things, or you do things that you're not supposed to do, but you do them anyway, then it could shorten that because you're using your free will too much about you, and that's not what it's intended for.
Oh, so you think that's a factor? Ah,
Ego and all that stuff. What was that? Nothing. Okay. Yeah. Oh, that was my camera. Hold on a second. The hell? Oh, look at that. It's still running. Why did that do that? Ta-da! That was kind of crazy. Yeah, my camera just went crazy. It just flew off the table. Uh-oh. Did I lose you? I think I lost. Can you hear me? I cannot hear you. Oh, my camera just turned off. Why did that?
How come my light? No, it is.
There you go.
That's so strange. My light's going off.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I've only just noticed it. I've just looked at it. It keeps flashing. That's so random. I've never done that before. Random clip noise happening now. Maybe we should round up before some crazy incident happens. I'll admit, like I was saying, I've been watching over my shoulder this whole time, thinking that something's going to go down. I'm like, this has actually been a pretty spooky show.
Yeah, well,
Not gonna
like I
lie.
said, if you use your free will too many times about yourself, for yourself, then that's what the, I did a live reading show recently, and this girl come on and she asked me some questions. She said she was asking about her brother, and she said, "Do you think my brother was murdered?" And I said, "Absolutely, he was." And she says, "Do you know how he was murdered?" I said, "Yes." I said, "He was actually strangled." And she said, "You're correct." And I said, "Really?" She said, "Well, they found him on some railroad tracks, and his body would look like it had hit by a train and cut him in half. But on his neck, he had strangle marks on his neck." And I said, "Yeah." She said, "Well, why do you think they would do that?" I said, "Well, to cover it up for sure." And she said, "Okay." She said, "But she said, did." I said, "Well, that's his fault as well." And she said, "What do you mean?" And I said, "Well, your brother was just happened to be one of those people who didn't care about anybody else. He only cared about himself. And when he did that, he did a bunch of things on his own that he wanted to do, and he didn't care about anybody else. So when he did that, it put him in some situations that he wasn't really supposed to be in, but he did it anyway. And because he did that, it put him in the situations of being around these horrible people. And then he got into some bad things there, and then that's what got him killed." And she said, "Again, you're correct."
that's crazy, man.
And I said, "Yeah." I said, "You know how I know that?" She said, "How?" I said, "Because I'm the fucking medium. That's how." And
That's
I
a
said to her, I said, "I can't make this shit up." She said,
that's a boss line to end it as well.
"Yeah,
So,
yeah,
is
it was
it-
the perfect line."
not even to end this conversation, because I have got one more question.
Yeah, sure.
I completely forgot about it. I've been meaning to get into it for probably about an hour between all the technical difficulties.
You did say you have a horrible memory, so
Well, that is a fact. It's been proven many times. One of the things that I like looking into is, this is a hard segue to get into, is I like looking into the dark aspects of things sometimes.
sure.
I think to all good there is always there's a dark,
There is.
and not along the line of conspiracies, but I also like to watch documentaries about cults and random, not the like witchcraft type stuff, but
more on the line of what's the best way to put it? Like the dark arts, so to speak.
Yeah.
You know, and I wouldn't say a fan of like Aleister Crowley, but he's an intriguing individual.
Yeah.
I look into everything, and I'd imagine doing what you do, he would crop up somewhere down the line, just because. I don't know. Again, you know, there was clairvoyancy and a whole mess of stuff.
Sure.
What's your thoughts on him? Because he again channeled a lot of dark entities, apparently.
Yes,
you know.
And that's exactly what they're doing. Like I tell people not to mess with Ouija boards because you're just asking for negativity to come through. It was created by negative people. In order to do that, people think it's a game when it's actually not. You're channeling negative energies. Are these negative energies devils and demons? No. What they are is some of them come from different worlds, different realms, but a lot of them they were just horrible people here and they remain horrible there. But what they can do here is they can come through. They can talk to us. They can influence us. But it's up to you to use your thinking mind to decide if you're going to follow through with what they're telling you to do. So if one of them tells you to go out and murder somebody, it's your choice if you're going to go out and do that. And so there are people who are going to go, nah, I'm not going to do that. That's not me. But there are people who are going to go, okay, what? So if you're going to tell me to do that, what else can you tell me to do? And they may tell them in another way to actually go out and do these types of things and how to get away with it as well. Because like I said, where they are in that realm, if they wanted to be there where you are, all they have to do is turn around. And if they want to be here where I am, they just turn around the opposite way and can talk to me as well. But again, it's up to people. So I like to use this analogy that works perfectly. And his name is Hitler. Okay.
That was a good segment. And his name was Hitler.
Hitler do the things that he wanted to do. Why did he do the things that he did? Because he chose to do them. Now, where did Hitler go? Where did his spirit go? It goes where all spirits go. You either remain here earthbound and you don't do anything, or you cross over. And his spirit actually did cross over, but he has to come back. Why does he come back? Because the lessons that he learned, he did not fulfill his purpose, and the lessons he learned were not the ones that were meant for him to learn. He chose a different way by using his free will. And he used it too much about himself for himself to do what he wanted to do. And then when he went back, he said, and they told him, well, Hitler, you did this, but it affected, you ended up killing gazillions of Jewish people and all these other people. So guess what? You got to come back. But as souls, we like to do good things. And he's saying, okay, but the next time he comes back, he's not going to be Hitler. He's just going to be a soul again, coming into a brand new body that's going to start over and try to do it again. Because we take death and all that too serious. Because when it's time for you to go, it is. You have two rules in this world. As long as you pay attention to those rules, as long as you follow these rules, and as long as you comprehend them, you'll appreciate your life a little bit better. And rule number one is people die every day. And rule number two is you can't change rule number one. People are just going to die every day, no matter what you get. If you catch a cold or get COVID or get a disease or get hit by a car, people are going to die. So, but it's okay because they get recycled. You come back into another body if you didn't learn all the lessons and fulfill the purpose that you were supposed to do. So all those people who died from Hitler, although it was painful for them at the time because we go through pain because we have these things called a meat suit that we are attached to, but the soul doesn't actually feel anything. The soul gets back and go, holy shit, I'm back here again. I got to go back down because Hitler fucking killed me. Wonderful. Go back and do it again. But that's how all that stuff works. But we take it personally here if we understood the real true meaning of life and death, we wouldn't take these things personal. We would know that. But if we also understood the true meanings of life and death, we wouldn't be killing each other off as much either.
Absolutely.
No, we're here to help each other, not just to tear each other apart. But we haven't figured that out yet.
You have to excuse my laughter. It's
No, because it's perfectly warranted. Because when you use those analogies, people go, then they go, oh, that does make sense. And I go, yeah, it makes sense. But we don't get it because everyone takes everything personally. That's
the only reason I'm laughing is because I'm completely listening on what you said. Again, I like to take humor out of a lot of stuff, and
sure.
Midway through saying that, the way it come across was it really was a funny statement.
Yeah, using Hitler, right? when you go to, I'm not saying when you go to heaven that Hitler and Mother Teresa are sitting on the same bench. They're probably
no, but they could be.
They are in the same place. Everyone goes to the same place. If you choose to go to that place, if you choose not to go there, then you just remain here. Like, I'll tell you a famous one that has remained here. Michael Jackson. He has not crossed over. He still wanders around on the earth because he still holds on to his pain, his anger, sorrow, grief, and guilt. He's still concerned about how he got murdered, and he wants people to figure that out, even though he's in a realm that can't get punished because there is no punishment there. No one's getting burned at the stake. No one's being tortured. There's no guy walking around horns and hooves and a tail.
Yeah.
He is a Lucifer, but he's not the devil. He's an angel with a bad rap because the people who are in control, who want to tell you how to live your life the way they want you to live it, they came up with this fake guy.
Yeah, I don't think he's got hooves and shit, man. I don't think that. I think that's.
Crowley was not worshiping a devil because there is no such thing as a devil. There just isn't. How do you know people are not being burned alive? Here's a perfect way, or because you don't have a body anymore, so you're pure energy at that point, then take a lighter and light the lighter in front of you, and you'll notice the flame doesn't go crazy. You know why? Because no one's burning. That's why. Because you can't light pure energy on fire. It's just not possible.
Well, the thing with the only reason I find Crowley fascinating was just because he'd go on these weird endeavors. You know, like he went to Egypt and wrote a book in there. What's all my lights flashing? What the fuck?
I saw that.
That was crazy.
Look at that, man. You got crazy negative. You got some energies. Are they negative?
It's gone back on and off again. My hands are here, by the way, but they're folded over my leg. It's just gone off again. Just to prove that I'm not touching shit. I'm just going to move my legs. I'm moving my legs as well, just in case it's me knocking my lights. I don't think so. It's almost impossible for me to knock an LED strip.
Yeah.
That's like securely fastened to my desk. It's crazy. The whole front panel's just gone out as well.
Yeah, I saw it.
All around the whole of her is cool. Wow, this is a very spooky show. Ooh, I like it. I'm gonna continue it. It's spooky.
Yeah,
I love it.
That's why it's going on.
Yeah, the only reason I find him fascinating, like I say, he went to Egypt and summoned some weird entities apparently, and then wrote a book. I always found that fascinating that someone did that. Went to a tomb and.
When you do this type
of
when you summon these negative energies, you got to remember that they're going to be around you. They may cause you some issues as well. If you're not really knowing what you're doing, then they can cause you some actual problems as well. And then you just opened up a freaking whole can of worms right there.
What is funny is I've completely forgot about this as well. Is when I first started doing my show, is I did a solo show talking about ghosts. And experiences, and it fucked up, and I had to cut it up because it lost most of the end of the audio. These days it's all good because I've got 2 programs and not just one, like this tried to do today, which is just what's dawned on me. But that's so crazy as well. It's the first time as well I've really delved into this category as heavily as what I have. And tonight it's just been wild. I've had tipping cameras, my lights. I can't even explain that. I'd almost like to have had a secondary multicam set up like I used to
Sure.
for random moments, but it's just the whole front panel. Even now, I'm bashing it. It's not even coming on. It's so wild. Oh look, there we go.
There it goes again.
Yeah, I don't know. It's so strange.
They're letting you know.
Well, I hope so. I'd like to know what they're letting me know. I mean, I've still got one more show after this as well, so I'm gonna be. It's gonna be a spooky one
Yeah.
in here tonight. I'm not gonna lie, and the next show as well is almost on the same category. it's gonna be horrifying. It's I've got an author on. I don't want to go too much into it, but he's an author. I don't want to go too much into it just in case he backs out. It's
Right.
not. I'm not quite far off that, which is what I've got to kind of round up in a way.
I'm becoming an author. I'm actually writing a book on my story about me.
You should.
This my whole life, and then at the end, they want me to bring. Spirit wants me to bring a big message. They about 3 years ago, I was in meditation, and they showed me the way I see things in meditation. They bring it to me in like cartoon form or videos and stuff like that. I used to wake up in the middle of the night in the bedroom, and I would see an actual movie playing on the wall in my bedroom.
That's
and
funny.
I'd look around the room to see where it was coming from. It's not coming from anywhere.
When I was like 13, 14, I used to fall asleep and play these imaginary cartoons in my head when I was falling asleep. Yeah, and I just make them up.
I see them when I'm awake. They actually showed me a video of this man with these scrolls, and he's pulling them out and he's writing on them. And I was like, what's that all about? And then they showed me a piece of paper in meditation with my eyes closed there. And the piece of paper had my handwriting on it. And I was like, so I said to them, do you want me to write a book? And then they gave me an answer. And I got, oh, okay. I guess you want me to write a book. And then now it's been 3 years later. Now I'm starting to write my book. So
You should. I mean,
yeah,
I'd read it.
I'm about 3/4 of it done, but yeah, I'm writing it all down because they want me to, because it's more or less just about me. It's about like a self-help for other people. Hey, if you're experiencing these things, then go out and try to find some information about it instead of just trying to figure it out on your own type of thing, you know? 'Cause people need to know. They need to know what to do.
Well, the thing is again, I'm a huge reader, so I'll happily read it.
I don't read books. I hate books. Everything that I know about spirit and all that stuff is what spirit has told me. I don't know anything from reading books or watching movies or YouTube or nothing. They tell me everything.
Yeah, I mean, that's my only. It's kind of like a weird vice. Is that I just love like taking in information.
My wife too.
A bit like Johnny Five, in Short Circuit. That robot. He's just
Johnny
after,
Five alive.
yeah, he's after more input. It's almost how I feel on a daily basis.
Yeah.
Listen, where can people follow you? I've got to round this up. So where can people follow you, my friend?
They can follow me. They can find me on my Spirit Medium Daniel website. It's www.spiritmediumdaniel.com. It's one long word, Spirit Medium Daniel. They can also find me on Facebook at Spirit Medium Daniel. They can find me on YouTube at Spirit Medium Daniel. They can find my podcast. It's Beyond the Veil with Daniel Jackson, me, and it's www.beyond-the-veil.com. And I talk about spirit, everything metaphysical and supernatural, the tarot cards, religion and governmental control, health and wellness, all that stuff. And then I'm on another podcast. Me and a guy from New York started. It's called Dead End Stories, where dead isn't the end, and people can come on there and ask questions about spirit, and they can
that's
tell
cool.
their experiences, and then I will decipher the experiences for them and tell them about things, and then they can ask me spiritual medium questions as well. And the premise of the show is I answer all the all the unanswered questions for everybody. So if anybody, and it's a call-in show too. They can call in, and that happens on every Monday night. And they can look it up on Facebook. It says Dead End Stories. You'll see my face and another guy on there, and they can come in and join the show.
That's super cool, man. This has been a very fun show. I would have liked to have literally have it to have been my 50th episode because it's been creepy. Shit has gone very wild.
Because of that skull you have in the background.
Oh, this has been here for ages. He's all cool. There's a Mr. Bones in a minute.
Okay.
Yeah, so original, you know.
Yeah.
I've got all sorts of little things. That bad boy there.
Oh, I like the top hat. You didn't wear it, man.
Yeah, most people don't even realize it's a top hat.
Is that a real gun in the background?
Oh no, it's a replica. It's a prop. But I would like to get you on again because this has been super fun. Again, it's been.
If you want to do it again, you can just come up with a bunch of questions, write them all down, and we'll go through it all.
Yeah, man, it's been a creepy episode. A lot of wacky, wild shit. I'm gonna have to look into these lights.
We're gonna have to do a second show because if it's creepy again, then you're gonna know what's going on.
Oh, well, that's the follow up. Is the next show when my books start flying off the fucking shelf, like all my notes and stuff. I use like A4 things. Well, this isn't. I had to cut these myself because I ran out of post-it notes. Yeah, I had to make these out of A4 pieces of paper.
We'll talk about you. We'll talk about you being a muggle, okay?
A muggle.
Yeah, somebody who's not actually a witch, you know.
Oh no,
a regular person. Yeah.
No, don't worry. That's all good. Well, listen, this has been the Posthuman Podcast. Today we've been here with the spirit medium, Daniel Jackson.
Yes.
And it has been very fun. And catch you on the next show, people. Thank you very much.